Most welcome to a video after a long time. I haven't checked, I think it is 7-8 months since I recorded my last video on the channel. Apologize for that. As I mentioned long ago, I am undergoing cancer treatment. So it has been a little rough time from time to time, and a lot of other things had to be done as well. But yeah, I'm still fighting, a bit successful, but it's still a long way to go. But I hope that I now can uphold the continuity on the channel a little better. Yeah, it would be hard to make it worse, actually. In June 2025, we played the Olympiad in chess for visually impaired players. It took place in Vrnjacka, Banja in Serbia. It was, as the Olympiad always is, it is a team competition on 4 boards. I played for the Swedish team. It was my 12th Olympiad. It is when you look at such figures, you understand that you are a dinosaur. But even dinosaurs have the right to play in the Olympiad, haven't they? It was a bit interesting challenge for me. There were more aspects to it than it normally is, because I had my cancer treatment on chemotherapy. I am still on such treatments. But let's see how it could go. Of course, I am taking a lot of different medicines for pains, and the poisons that I take against the cancer also make you very tired, and they have a lot of different side effects. So, I talk about this because that is a factor that you have to take into account when you start playing a tournament. What should the ambition level be, first of all? Should I try to play short games? Because, I play on the first board. I normally play strong players. And even a draw against a somewhat weaker player would mean that we have taken away one of their players, so to say. And having me not losing a lot of games, at least on board 1, would be a help for boards 2 to 4. So, playing a little bit safety first would be one strategy. Then you have to think of what kind of player you are. Can you really play like that, or will safety first be bad because you are a kind of crazy player when it comes to understanding of chess? Maybe you just play better when it is a short position, and you might commit more errors if it is a quite dull position. That you also have to take into account. I thought about it a bit. I didn't really come to a conclusion. So it is a lot when I try to think. It doesn't normally result in so much more of understanding, unfortunately. But what I was pretty clear about was that if you are having a lot of different poisons and painkillers in your body, you probably shouldn't put yourself into time pressure. So try to play a little bit fast so that you are ahead on the clock. That was one of the ambitions. Not overcomplicate things, both because I am a dinosaur. Normally you start to your capacity to calculate normally decreases when you get older. So yeah, these were some of the very vague thoughts I had for myself when I started to play. My idea is to go through my games. I actually played 7 out of 9 rounds. The plan was that I should play 9 rounds, but round 2 and 3 I didn't play for other reasons that are not necessary to discuss here. So it will be 7 rounds. And I think when I calculated all the games I have played in the Olympiads all over the years, I think my last game made up to 112 Olympic Games so far. Not too bad, I would say myself at least. So, the first round, Sweden was facing Slovakia. Slovakia has a lot of chess tradition, but they haven't been so active in the last 20-30 years. They were, before then it was Czechoslovakia, so then I'm not sure what players that came from the Czech Republic and then from Slovakia. But now we face them. When looking at ratings, we were higher rated, and I was black, which put me into a little bit of a dilemma. My opponent, Mikulec, I'm sorry for completely destroying the pronunciation, at 1950. My rating when the tournament started was it 2216? Yeah, I think that was the rating. So I was clearly higher rated. At the same time, I didn't know at all what kind of strength I had. So I didn't know. Normally, I wouldn't go for a quick draw in such a situation. But with the situation I faced, maybe that could have been an option anyway. I simply wasn't sure. And if I would have got a draw offer, I would have had to ask my team captain, who probably would have told me that I could decide myself. Okay, here we go. I am playing the black pieces. White goes on in the first move with pawn to echo 4. Pawn to echo 4. And I have played a lot of different moves here over the years. I have played a lot of Caro-Kann games. I have played, recently Caro-Kann has been one of my main weapons as black. I have also played a lot of Sicilian, pawn to Charlie 5. I have also played a lot of modern with pawn to Golf 6. But I went for the Sicilian, pawn to Charlie 5. I actually didn't make up my mind about it until I came to the game. Before the game I thought, I maybe go for the modern, but the modern defense, it often leads to positions that are very complicated. So I thought, maybe making it a little bit simpler, playing it sound, going for the Sicilian would be a better option. So I went for Charlie 5. Now my opponent played Knight to Foxtrot 3. Knight to Foxtrot 3. It seems like my opponent might opt for the open Sicilian, following up in move 3 with pawn to Delta 4. But if I had played, for example, pawn to Delta 6 now, or Knight to Charlie 6, bishop to bravo 5 is a very, very common move. And the chess engines rate on knight to Charlie 6, bishop to bravo 5, I think is about the same in evaluation as pawn to delta 4 for the machines. I didn't want to enter such things like the knight or for the dragon that could have been follow-ups with pawn to delta 6. I actually won a quite nice game in the Najdorf in 2000, and we played against Slovakia, and I have that in this playlist about when Black sacrifices the exchange on Charlie 3 in the Sicilian. You can find it there. So I thought I should play solid anyway, and I played pawn to golf 6. Pawn to golf 6. Yeah, but I went for instead pawn to golf 6. And that is also a line that I have played many times. It is the accelerated dragon, but I think it's maybe called something else, because if you played knight to Charlie 6 and follows up later on with pawn to golf 6, that is the accelerated dragon proper. But now I go for golf 6 right away. So, yeah, no matter what. So actually we have a position here that is the English opening with colors reversed. And that I also played in the World Championship in 2023. So you see, all those decades of experience makes it a little bit easier for you when you try to change variation to play some different lines, because you have learned to play the typical structures, although they occur with white or black. So in 2019, I think, and 2023, in these World Championships, I think I played pawn Charlie 4 in the first move and then pawn to golf 3 in the second move. And now we have Charlie 5 and pawn to golf 6. So, what is the idea? Yeah, of course, it is to put the bishop on golf 7, try to control black squares in the center, and yeah, for me, in this game, just see what happens. White played bishop to Charlie 4. Bishop to Charlie 4. Not at all a bad move. White doesn't show much what he intends to do. Just makes a normal and good developing move with the bishop. White could follow up with castles, pawn to Charlie 3, and then pawn to delta 4. That would be, pretty nice plan for white, I would say. I played bishop to golf 7. Bishop to golf 7. White went on the castle's kingside. Castle's kingside. And I want to increase the control of delta 4, so I played knight to Charlie 6. Knight to Charlie 6. Here, White has to ask himself, it was him or herself, what is my ambition in the game? Will I push for an advantage, or will I just play it super solid, or what would I do? I think that objectively pawn to Charlie 3 followed by pawn to Delta 4 would be a good attempt for white here, taking a bit more space. Black is solid for sure, but white would be slightly better, at least according to Stockfish 17. But white played it more, a little bit of waiting strategy maybe. Rook to echo 1, rook to echo 1. Not a bad move, but you can maybe, at least in retrospect, see that white doesn't really want to take any risks. Not pushing, but just putting pieces on good squares. It makes sense, but only to some extent, because sooner or later you have to take difficult decisions. The rook on echo 1 makes it more difficult for black to push echo 6 and delta 5. So even black has this idea of pushing delta 5. But we will see what happens. I played pawn to echo 6, pawn to echo 6. That is blunting the pressure from the bishop on Charlie 4 on the pawn on Foxtrot 7. And I also now open the possibility for black to place the knight on Golf 8 on echo 7 instead. And what comes with that pawn knight to echo 7? Besides developing a piece, it gives black the possibility of challenging the white center, also by pushing pawn to Foxtrot 5. We can see that with the Sicilian you have taken control of central squares with the Charlie pawn. Now you do the same on the other flank, so to say on the king side, with pawn to Foxtrot 5, if you would play knight golf echo 7 and then Foxtrot 5. So it is a kind of logic in this setup. To be honest, I wasn't well prepared. I wasn't updated on current theory or anything. I just thought that, this works to play with white. Charlie 4, Golf 3, Bishop Golf 2, Echo 3, Knight Echo 2, and putting the knight on Charlie 3. So I thought, I'm a tempo down, but still it is not so critical right now with tempi. Maybe that was wrong, but that was how I thought. So I also like to keep the diagonal for the bishop on Golf 7 open. White played knight to Charlie 3, knight to Charlie 3. And I think this is a bad move. Maybe that sounds very harsh to say about this move. Knight to Charlie 3, how can it be bad? Calm down now, Dinosaur Magnusson. Why do I say that? We can compare how respective knights are placed. White has the knights on Foxtrot 3 and Charlie 3. Good squares, of course, but the problem is that the knights block the pawns on Charlie 2 and Foxtrot 2, making it more difficult to attack black's positions with the Foxtrot and Charlie pawns. For example, if you would have had your pawn on Foxtrot 4 as white not on Foxtrot 2 and the knight on Foxtrot 3, it would be easier to launch an attack with Foxtrot 5. I don't say that that would be good or something, but it is a difference that you have. If we go on to check the position with black, let's see, maybe we make another move first. Knight golf to echo 7 we play first. Knight golf to echo 7. Here we have the knights on echo 7 and Charlie 6. These positions, one can say that the knight on echo 7 is more passively placed than the knight on foxtrot 3. That is true, but a difference that talks in black's favor is that the knight on Charlie 6 stands behind the pawn on Charlie 5. So the black's Charlie pawn exerts control of central squares, whereas the pawn on Charlie 2 does virtually nothing. And as I have mentioned already, the pawn on foxtrot 7 isn't blocked, so it might be possible for black to exert pressure on the white center by moving to foxtrot 5. Or in some position, if white has played echo 5, black can play foxtrot 6. So black has more dynamic in the position. That means that black has more pawn breaks than white has. It will bit by bit be more difficult for white to find interesting moves. Alright, we go on. White played pawn to hotel 3. Pawn to hotel 3. An okay move, but still it's hard to see exactly what it does. What did black threaten that white is reacting to by hotel 3? It is hard to see how black in the near future could, for example, play bishop to golf 4. There are pawns on delta 7 and echo 6, and it is also not advisable for white to push golf 4. So I would say that pawn to hotel 3 is a loss of tempo, I would say. I think that white rather should have gone for the quite unexpected pawn to delta 4. If black takes with a pawn, Charlie takes delta 4, white can follow up with knight to bravo 5, thereby having possibility to jump in delta 6, and also it is likely that white can regain the pawn on delta 4, because the knights on bravo 5 and foxtrot 3 are attacking delta 4. It says something about the position, though, that it starts to ask for more tactical tricks from white's side in order to keep a balance. If white had pushed Charlie 3 earlier, before the knight was on Charlie 3 and pawn to delta 4, then white would have had a solid position and a slight edge. Now the position is about equal, but white has to be very creative and play moves that are not easy to find to keep balance. Black played castles kingside. Castles kingside. And white went pawn to delta 3. Pawn to delta 3. White has a very, very stable position. But at the same time, as I said, giving the active, the upper hand to black, I would say. Now black can think of delta 5 or foxtrot 5. Even possibilities like alpha 6 planning Bravo 5 comes into consideration. If black pushes Alpha 6 and white then responds with pawn to Alpha 4, it gives black the possibility to plonk a knight on Bravo 4, thereby gaining more control of Delta 5, sorry. And it is also difficult to get rid of the knight on Bravo 4. But in this position, I eventually played pawn to Hotel 6. Pawn to Hotel 6. I wanted to take away good moves from white. This is a kind of prophylactic move. I didn't want white to play bishop to Golf 5. Had I gone for pushing Delta 5, maybe bishop to Golf 5 in some situations could be a bit inconvenient. And here I think I had maybe spent something like 15-20 minutes. The game was played with 200 minutes with 30 seconds increment from move on. So yeah, pawn to Hotel 6 simply wants to keep options open. And also, if I want to push Foxtrot 5, it is good not to have to think of, what happens if white plays knight to Golf 5 in this or that position. So yeah, that was my idea, or these were my ideas with pawn to Hotel 6. White went pawn to Echo 5. Pawn to Echo 5. And one can really ask oneself why white plays such a move. It was actually a move I expected. Because it is not nice for white to face pawn to Delta 5 here. The black would actually gain more space suddenly. Right now, white and black has about the same amount of space. White has one pawn on Echo 4, black has a pawn on Charlie 5. So Delta 5 gives the possibility also to continue with Delta 4, taking more space. But also Foxtrot 5, that is not so nice either to face. And black can even come up with ideas of pushing pawn on Foxtrot 5 to Foxtrot 4, following up with Golf 5. So suddenly this seemingly very calm position can become very sharp, and black can play for the kingside attack. So pawn to Echo 5 aims at controlling Delta 6 and Foxtrot 6 with the idea of making these pawn pushes less convenient. Here I could have got clearly better position. Yeah, but just let me make the move first. I played pawn to Delta 6. Pawn to Delta 6. If I did not play pawn to Delta 6, Stockfish tells that knight to Foxtrot 5 would have been even better, giving me 0.4 pawns lead. The idea with knight to Foxtrot 5 would be to, of course, get more control on Delta 4, but also make it easier for black to push Foxtrot 6. If black plays Foxtrot 6 in a few moves time, and if there would be a recapture, maybe pawn takes and queen takes foxtrot 6. Black has gained a pawn majority in the center. It makes it easier for black to push delta 5, and yeah, having half open foxtrot 5, for example, would also be it would be a nice thing to have for black simply. I didn't play the best move. I played delta 6, which keeps white on balance, or 0.1 pawn upward, which I count as completely equal. Pawn to delta 6, it's moved a bit in the spirit of the reflections I had before the game. Not doing it too complicated. Play pretty sound, easy moves, not spending a lot of time. Pawn to delta 6 is normal move, but it comes with a price. Black has to give up a pawn, at least temporarily. White continued with echo takes delta 6, echo takes delta 6, and black played queen takes delta 6, queen takes delta 6. Yeah, queen takes delta 6 is not the best move either. Knight to foxtrot 5 would have been better, for reasons that I will touch upon in white's next move. Knight to foxtrot 5, good move. We can even take on delta 6 with a knight, or just let the knight stand there. The white pawn on delta 6 doesn't disappear. So it is better for the reasons we will discuss now. White played knight to echo 4, knight to echo 4, threatening the queen and the pawn on Charlie 5. Had I had the knight on foxtrot 5 and later taking on delta 6, then I could have followed up with queen to echo 7, for example, protecting the pawn on Charlie 5. Now the knight is on echo 7, so I have to go to another place. So, Mr. Magnusson, have you dropped a pawn? Yes and no. I played queen to Charlie 7, queen to Charlie 7. And my idea was that if a white plays knight takes Charlie 5, knight takes Charlie 5, I could follow up with knight to alpha 5, knight to alpha 5. And when the when the knight moves, let's say that the knight drops back to echo 4, I gain the bishop pair by knight takes Charlie 4 and delta takes Charlie 4. There I could continue with queen takes Charlie 4, regaining the pawn, but white can regain the bishop, get rid of black's bishop pair by knight delta 6. That is a possibility, but I probably would have preferred playing something like pawn to bravo 6, because it's not so important to regain the pawn, which after the game was confirmed by the chess engines. The bishop pair is very strong in such an open position, so playing pawn to bravo 6, making it possible to continue with bishop to alpha 6, for example, is worthwhile considering. White didn't want to go into these complications. He played bishop delta 2, bishop to delta 2. And we can see how passive White's position has become. We can compare the black squared bishops, black has a fantastic bishop on golf 7. White has a quite, okay, but not fantastic bishop on delta 2. Black has actually now gained the space advantage in the center. The pawn on Charlie 5 is farther advanced than the pawn on delta 3. So, black has a bit more space. And now I can protect the pawn on Charlie 5. I played pawn to Bravo 6. Pawn to Bravo 6. This also makes it possible to place the bishop on Bravo 7. Pawn to Bravo 7. Let's imagine the bishops would be on Bravo 7 and Golf 7. You can compare now even the light squared bishops. Then it is actually black who is more proud of his bishop than white is of his bishop on Charlie 4. The bishop on Charlie 4, okay, it stands on a diagonal, but it just stares into to the pawns on Echo 6 and Foxtrot 7. Not much to be done there. And black can start to exert a bit of pressure down the diagonal from Alpha 8 to Hotel 1, which means opening chances for a kingside attack. White continued with Queen to Charlie 1, Queen to Charlie 1, threatening the pawn on Hotel 6, so I played King to Hotel 7, King to Hotel 7. And it's also nice to get the king out of the diagonal from Alpha 2 to Golf 8. If I want to expand with Foxtrot 5 in the future, it is good not to have the king at the same diagonal as the bishop on Charlie 4. And also we can see again Queen to Charlie 1, not bad. It comes with a threat, but black rather improves his position than anything else, putting the king on Hotel 7. And bit by bit we can see that it becomes more and more difficult for white to find moves. Largely this is a consequence of that white has not pushed any pawns for a while, like Charlie 3 Delta 4 would have been good to have played in the early opening. So white continues to put the pieces on seemingly good squares, but they can do very little from these squares, whereas it is easy for black to bit by bit improve the position. We will see what happens in the game. White played bishop to Foxtrot 4, bishop to Foxtrot 4, threatening the queen and putting pressure along the diagonal of Hotel 2 to Bravo 8. Also a seemingly good move. But now black comes with maybe the first committal move in the game. That is pawn to Echo 5. Pawn to Echo 5. And why then is that so committal? It threatens the bishop, of course, which actually puts a difficult question to white, where to place it. Should you go back to Delta 2 or to Echo 3? Should you go back to Hotel 2? And what to do later on? Echo 5 is committal in the way that it opens a bit more of the diagonal down to Golf 8, so that the bishop on Charlie 4 seems to be stronger. I'm not so sure that is the case, actually. But, yeah, some would maybe argue that. Why I don't think it is so much to talk about is that as White's other pieces are so passively placed, not passively maybe, but the coordination between the white pieces doesn't make it easy for the bishop to cooperate well with the other pieces. So if black plays Echo 5 and then Foxtrot 5, black's pawns can just attack on the king side, whereas White has this open diagonal for the bishop on Charlie 4, but it's not easy to tell what White can do of this. The other thing that might be called committal is that the pawn on Echo 5 now blocks the bishop on Golf 7. And this, of course, it blocks a piece, but it also opens the diagonal for the bishop on Charlie 8. Although it also had the Bravo 7 as another square, also getting another good diagonal. But the biggest problem here is what White should do. White played bishop to Hotel 2. Bishop Hotel 2. And one might say that, it's a fantastic diagonal. White exerts pressure from the flanks, a little bit like black does with the fianchetto of the bishop on Golf 7. But the bishop on Hotel 2 can easily be shut down very easily. Black can now push Foxtrot 5 and Foxtrot 4. Let's just first see what I played. I played bishop to Bravo 7. Bishop to Bravo 7. A natural move, but Stockfish actually recommends Foxtrot 5. The knight moves from Echo 4, and then black plays Foxtrot 4. Shutting down the bishop on Hotel 2. It's very hard to see how this bishop should get back into the game. So one can say that black almost plays with one piece up in such position. So Stockfish actually evaluates the position after black pushes Foxtrot 5 followed by Foxtrot 4 as 2 pawns up, clearly winning for black. I saw this position, of course, but I did not want to give any weaknesses for black for white to utilize. I thought that I block the white bishop on Hotel 2, but I give up the square Echo 4 so that white can again place the very centralized knight on Echo 4, and my bishop on Golf 7 might in the future get it hard to find air to breathe, so to say. So these were my thoughts of instead playing bishop to Bravo 7. And in addition, bishop to bravo 7 came also in connection. That was a consequence of my idea of not complicating things too much. I wanted to play relatively quick and do solid moves. Bishop to bravo 7 is a good move also. And black's position, and this was something I absolutely didn't understand during the game, is about winning even after bishop bravo 7. Stockfish evaluates even that position as about 1.5 pawn up for black. Bravo 7 is a good square for the bishop, no doubt. And if I can continue shutting down this bishop on hotel 2 with the pawn on echo 5, the bishop is very bad on hotel 2. We will see how it develops in the game. White played knight to Charlie 3. Knight to Charlie 3. A move that shows that it is hard for white to find a decent move. Maybe you would have thought of maybe pawn to Charlie 3, but it's hard to say what should you do then. It will weaken the pawn on delta 3, for example. When you start to look at different options for white, you see that most of them come with a lot of drawbacks. So, knight to Charlie 3, at least taking a bit control of delta 5. So I played rook alpha to delta 8. Rook alpha to delta 8. Now I have developed all my pieces. And black's position is very, very sound. It is very stable, very harmonious. The only problem is what to do with it. And in such situations, I maybe more in later years than when I was young, I play more easy moves. Simple sounds a bit pejorative maybe, but like avoiding these complications maybe coming after Foxtrot 5, Foxtrot 4 that I touched upon earlier. I rather make a good move, hopefully good at least, and see what can my opponents do out of the position. And we will see that black actually has a winning position already. I didn't think it was like this. I just thought my position was very pleasant and easy to play. And that was enough for me. And I now was at least half an hour better on the clock, which was another of my aims before the game. White played alpha 3, pawn to alpha 3. And alpha 3 is a natural move. White wants to give a bit of space for the bishop if it would be attacked. Say from a knight on alpha 5, for example, so it can retreat to alpha 2. And now black played pawn to Foxtrot 6. Pawn to Foxtrot 6. This is not the first choice of the computer, of the chess engines, but it is a good move. It is one of the better moves. I played it in order to really take control, support the pawn on echo 5. And I had in mind that when I have this control, I can even put pawn to hotel 5 and followed by bishop to hotel 6, making use of another pretty long diagonal. When my bishop is on golf 7, it is blocked by 2 pawns now, but I have the possibility of placing a bishop on hotel 6. That is one idea. Another idea, of course, is that now my knight on Charlie 6 doesn't need to protect the pawn on Echo 5. So it gives me some more active possibilities. White played knight to Echo 4. Knight to Echo 4. And you have seen that White goes back and forth with this knight. One could maybe laugh at White and say, oh, why do you do such weird things? But at the same time, come up with something better yourself. Knight to Echo 4, I think White's idea now was to finally try to play pawn to Charlie 3, maybe pawn to Bravo 4. Bravo 4 is less risky now when Black has blocked the fianchetto bishop on golf 7, although Black can easily open the diagonal with pawn to Foxtrot 5. But before you push Echo 4, be aware of that you then have to move the queen from Charlie 7 to another square, so that the bishop on hotel 2 doesn't take it. Knight to Echo 4. I played knight to Foxtrot 5. Knight to Foxtrot 5. And I didn't... Yeah, it's also one of the better moves. I didn't have a clear idea of how to increase or materialize, so to say, from my advantage. But I thought, okay, the knight can swap itself for the knight on Echo 4. Yeah, let's put it like this. If we look at the bishops, the bishop on hotel 2, I have many times already said that it is horribly badly placed. The bishop on golf 7 is not fantastic as it stands by now, but it can get a good diagonal on hotel 6. Whereas it is very difficult to see how White in the near future can improve the position of the of the dark squared bishop. If we then compare the bishops on Charlie 4 and Bravo 7, one should say maybe that they both have good diagonals, maybe even see that White has a slightly better diagonal because it is opened. But one can also say, okay, it actually hits nothing. It just hits on thin air, does nothing there. And my conclusion from this was that White's relatively well-placed pieces are his knights. So if I swap off all knights, then especially the bishop on Bravo 7 would then have an open diagonal, and following up with, let's say, queen to Charlie 6, then we start to see Black's attacking chances coming. So that is a bit of the idea behind of thinking of playing knight to delta 6. Or playing knight Foxtrot or Charlie to delta 4, swapping a knight in that way. So I just thought of putting my pieces on good squares and giving thereby opening for even more opportunities. White played pawn to Charlie 3. Pawn to Charlie 3. Taking a bit more of control of delta 4, that's nice, but it comes with the consequence knight to alpha 5. Knight to alpha 5. A nice move. Now don't I contradict myself here? Yeah, probably I do. I do pretty often in my life, I must say, but not exactly here. Swapping knight on Charlie 4 for the bishop would give white a double pawn, which would reduce white's possibilities of doing something active on the queen side. It also results in that we would have real pawn majorities. We haven't had such so far in the game. Black would now have 4 against 3 on the king side, and these pawns can easily get mobilized. They can get mobile. Whereas white's pawn majority on the queen side, it is not easy to see how that can actually be used in an aggressive way. Rather, the pawn on Charlie 4 in the long run can be a weakness. So, knight to alpha 5 also opens the diagonal for the bishop on Bravo 7. White plays queen to Charlie 2. Queen to Charlie 2. And I played knight takes Charlie 4. Knight takes Charlie 4. And white played delta takes Charlie 4. Delta takes Charlie 4. And what white has gained here is more control of delta 5. That we have to admit. White has gained something there. At the same time, it is very hard to see how white can get a piece to delta 5. As the pawn is on Charlie 3, white cannot move. If white could have rerouted the knight via Charlie 3 to delta 5, yeah, then it would maybe have been something little at least. Now that is not possible. And as the pawn has moved from delta 3 to Charlie 4, the knight on echo 4 is not so stable as it was hitherto. And black now has the 2 bishops. So in an endgame, that can also be a factor that tells. Now I played knight delta 6. Knight to delta 6. And that comes with the same, from the idea I described before. I don't say that this is the best move or anything, but I thought of, okay, the knight on echo 4 is at least well placed. It covers a lot of important squares. If I can swap it off, white would have 2 poorly played minor pieces. So white played knight echo to delta 2. Knight echo to delta 2. Yeah, one could of course have thought of moves like knight takes knight, but yeah, I think even rook takes knight could have been very interesting. I must watch out so white can drum up some pressure on golf 6, but I can play queen to foxtrot 7. If I would have played queen takes delta 6 instead, or rook takes delta 6 after a queen exchange there, I could have responded on knight to foxtrot 5, maybe with not to hotel 4, with pawn to foxtrot 5 instead, because I have the pawn on echo 5 is protected. What happens anyway is that black's bishop on bravo 7 would have been even happier. Now the knight on delta 2 at least defends the knight on foxtrot 3. But we can see here, let's say that we exchange knights on delta 6. Then white has a knight on foxtrot 3. It can do a little bit. But on long term it can do it's very little. From foxtrot 3 it can reach the hotel 4 square, but that is on the rim, and when I just defend on the immediate threats, it is nothing to worry about. If we then look at the bishop on hotel 2, it is nothing compared to the bishop on golf 7. And why do I say that? For two reasons. If I in the future play foxtrot 5 and echo 4, the diagonal would be opened, and I would have some pressure down towards Charlie 3. But I don't think this is the best way to go. I rather think that hotel 5 and bishop to hotel 6 is the better option, and then just letting white's bishop stand on hotel 2, and we have a good bishop on hotel 6. Whereas you can't compare the knight on foxtrot 3 to the bishop on bravo 7. That stands very, very well. All right, white's position is actually lost. And I am up on time, so I continue just to play decent moves. Queen to Charlie 6. Queen to Charlie 6. Not the best move by the engines, but not the bad move either. It keeps the advantage. I think white was down to 10 minutes on the clock, and there was no such time control. You get more time after move 40 or something. So white is under serious time pressure here. So I just thought, okay, just put the queen on a nice square. White played rook to echo 2. Rook to echo 2. Honestly, I don't understand this move. Maybe it was just to make a move. I think so. When you are short on time, and what are you actually up to do here? What should you do? The problem with rook to echo 2 is, though, that it gives black more possibilities to take control over the delta file. We will see how it goes. I played knight to knight to foxtrot 7. Knight to foxtrot 7. This move, it does many things. It's one of the biggest achievements with the move is maybe that I make a move, thereby giving white again the challenge to find a good move. Here the position is so difficult for white, so it's very easy to drop something, especially when you are down on time. Another idea with knight foxtrot 7 is that I now could play foxtrot 5 and echo 4 in some occasions, just to sweep away white's minor pieces. Of course, then the bishop on hotel 2 would have an open diagonal. One can say something similar as about white's bishop on Charlie 4 earlier, that it has an open diagonal also, but nothing to do with it. If I play Foxtrot 5 and Echo 4, white continues to have the problem with that black should push Echo 3, opening the diagonal and maybe with a threat to put checkmate on Golf 2, for example. Another idea is to plonk the rook on Delta 3, doubling the rooks there, and white has difficulties finding moves. So it is a kind of multi-purpose move that more asks white a lot of questions. Another idea, finally, can be to, in the future, put the knight on Golf 5, thereby putting more pressure on the long diagonal from Alpha 8 to Hotel 1. Let's say that I move my king to Hotel 8, followed by knight to Golf 5. Then white cannot take on Golf 5. If I would do it immediately, knight takes Golf 5 would come with check. So that would be possible and not so good for black. So if I move the king first, then play knight to Golf 5, then there will be possibility to just swap off the knights on Foxtrot 3, or even give up the exchange on Delta 2, thereby followed by taking on Foxtrot 3 with a very, very strong attack. So that is also an ideal, knight to Foxtrot 7. So we turn the question over to white and wish him good luck. White played rook to Delta 1. Rook to Delta 1. Yeah, finally developing the last piece. But now the knight on Delta 2 can be pinned, and it is therefore I just take more control over the open file. Queen to Delta 7. Queen to Delta 7. For sure, one can think of white playing rook Delta, no, Echo to Echo 2, for example. That is a distinct possibility. But I thought, yeah, maybe it doesn't matter so much. I can even play moves like Queen to Delta 3 after such a move, and yeah, after the exchange of queens I might double on the Delta file, and it's still difficult for white to untangle. Yeah, this is a sweeping, so to say, discussion. Maybe I would just have moved the queen to another square if there would have been challenges on the Delta file in the future. And yeah, as I say, I don't have a rush here. I can improve my position bit by bit also. So, white played pawn to Bravo 3. Pawn to Bravo 3. This is losing. Of course it is. But why? Yeah, you can see it easily. We can ask ourselves, what can white do? Yeah, I told maybe rook Echo to Echo 1 would be the best move here. That is absolutely possible. But yeah, it doesn't mean that it would be such a good move either. I have the possibility of Queen to Delta 3, or I can just play Queen to Charlie 6, for example. or queen to echo 7, planning pawn to foxtrot 5. That is also an option. Or queen to echo 6, followed by foxtrot 5. Thus putting pressure on Charlie 4. Now white played pawn to Bravo 3 to support Charlie 4. And I think white was something down 7-8 minutes on the clock now. But now we see that it is, white's position just cracks tactically. Black played bishop takes foxtrot 3. Bishop takes foxtrot 3. White can't take with the knight, because then the rook on delta 1 would be hanging. So golf takes foxtrot 3. I played queen takes hotel 3. Queen takes hotel 3. Yeah, a pawn up. And it continued. Advantage. I mean, sometimes you win a pawn, but white gets something, your opponent gets something in exchange. But white's king side has become even weaker, of course. And the knight on foxtrot 7 can jump up to golf 5, for example, here. And the end is soon to come. White played rook to echo 3. Rook to echo 3. I played knight to golf 5. Knight to golf 5. It took a little bit of calculation, but not much. White challenges black's queen and knight on golf 5 by pawn to foxtrot 4. Pawn to foxtrot 4. Okay, double attack. Magnusson, you have overlooked things. But I played queen to golf 4 check. Queen to golf 4. And white played rook to golf 3. Rook to golf 3. Sorry. And I continued with queen takes foxtrot 4. Queen takes foxtrot 4. Now 2 pawns up. And the only thing you have to watch out for here is that not to drop something. Be aware that I shouldn't hastily move my knight from golf 5 because white has queen takes golf 6 check and then checkmate on golf 7. That would have been a sad ending to this game. But okay, as soon as I'm not completely losing my mind, it will be no problem. White played rook to golf 2. Rook to golf 2. And now comes a small combination that I actually had foreseen. Rook takes delta 2. Rook takes delta 2. Taking over full control of foxtrot 3. White played rook takes delta 2. Rook takes delta 2. And I captured queen takes delta 2. Queen takes delta 2. And here white resigned. You can see that if white plays queen takes delta 2, black plays knight foxtrot 3 check, followed by knight takes delta 2, ending up, a piece and 2 pawns up. So it was a long discussion of a short game. I hope that you bear with me, but that you also could have learned a bit, because I am still a bit confused myself about my capacity of evaluating positions. I knew my position was good after 15-20 move. That's that's for sure. But that the engine would evaluate it to 1.5, 2 pawns better. It didn't. I didn't even think of that. But I think when I try to think of why black had such a big advantage, I think it was because white had no active pawn pushes. And it started on I think white came onto the wrong track with knight to Charlie 3 in the beginning. Not saying that that was a losing move by any means, but after that white had to trick with pawn to delta 4 and such things, giving up the pawn temporarily to get some activity to hold the balance. Bit by bit, black could improve the position, getting bishops placed on better squares, and also having more flexibility, like, for instance, first having pressure on the queen side with the bishop on Golf 7, then pushing Echo 5, Foxtrot 6, placing the bishop on Bravo 7, giving black pressure towards white's king side. I also think that black's 2 bishops compared to white's 2 bishops, especially when we came to the bishops on Hotel 2 and Charlie 4, was a very important factor to why the chess engines evaluate the position like it does. And when black could open the diagonal from Bravo 7, even gaining the bishop pair, because that came with white also got a double pawn, the Echo 4 square wasn't so stable for the knight, stable outpost for the knight no longer. Yeah, these are such factors. But I can not say that I have understood everything myself. But maybe it is not necessary to understand how good your position is. It is more to play decent moves, continue improving the position, increasing the lead on the clock, and wait for white's mistakes, and also even endings when we could exchange queens on Delta 3, I spoke about, could be very, very difficult for white to hold. More difficult than it would seem. And, of course, you still had possibilities with Foxtrot 5, Foxtrot 4, even later on in the game. Yeah, I hope that you've learned something from analyzing this game. I learned a lot analyzing after the game, and I was very happy after the first round. I thought, okay, now at least I have taken 1 point. Hope that I can continue to not make a fool out of myself through the rest of the tournament. But that you will see in next video. Thank you for listening.